Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to another weekly dose of aviation. This is the 1-year anniversary of Weekly Dose of Aviation, which is why I've gathered the best clips from the series and put them together to a 1-hour video for you guys to enjoy. I'll talk a bit more about this in the end, but until then, enjoy. This aerial refueling went wrong after turbulence tore off the end of the refueling boom, causing fuel to spray out. This is an airdrop from a C-130 looks from the inside. This landing went wrong due to strong winds causing the plane to flip over and striking its propeller into the ground. This plane flew really low right next to a highway. This is what a firefighting plane looks like in action. This plane started tilting forward after landing, causing the nose to hit the ground. This F-22 doing a vertical takeoff.
Oh my god, oh my god.
This plane looks like it disappears when taking off into the fog. This plane's wing hit a truck while taxiing.
Whoa! Did you see that? Yeah, knocked over a container. Knocked over the truck.
This plane picking up water from a river. This airport was struck by lightning. This Boeing 737 overran the runway at Thessaloniki Airport in Greece.
Все живы?
This air bridge got blown away by the wind, causing it to crash straight into a plane. This pilot had to stop immediately to not collide with the plane in front of him. This fighter jet doing an extreme low pass just a few feet overhead. These planes almost collided with each other while landing at the same airfield.
Yep, she's pretty tight. Oh, that was close, that was not.
This glider pilot had a very hard landing, causing him to go off the runway. This is what a flooded airport looks like. This Cessna blew one of its tires after landing. This Lufthansa A320 had a wing strike while landing in a crosswind. This 747 hit a catering truck while taxiing.
Oh shit! Fuck!
This plane took off with help of rockets attached to it. This 737 took off as an A380 landed on the runway right next to it. This fighter jet flying right behind a cargo plane. This is like a car wash for planes. These water bombers were picking up water right next to a cruise ship. This plane had a compressor stall, causing flames to shoot out of its engine. This helicopter struck its tail rotor into the ground during an air show. This gyroplane's rotor decided to take off on its own.
Vish Maria.
These F-18s doing a low pass during an air show.
Wir schalten live ins Cockpit.
This 757 doing a low pass over an airport. This plane had an engine failure right after takeoff, so the pilot had to land in a nearby field, but luckily he managed to land and wasn't injured. This flight lesson went wrong when the plane started leaking fuel out of its wing. This is the Blue Angels taking off in a diamond formation with F-18s. This helicopter rescuing people from a sunken boat. This Cessna doing a water-assisted landing, which is basically using the water to slow the plane down before landing. This is how a Cessna looks after being underwater for a few years. This is the 2018 forest fire in Sweden, seen from an airplane. This is how rush hour looks at Logan Airport in Boston. These South African Air Force helicopters flying in a huge formation. This A380 taking off with snow spraying behind it. This ground crew worker is just vibing with his guide sticks. This is how firing rockets from a helicopter looks. This is what picking up water in a water bomber plane looks like from the cockpit. This plane doing a low flyby over a beach in the Maldives. This is the aftermath of a tornado that struck an airport in Turkey.
Çok kötü. Antalya Havalimanı'nda çok kötü olaylar. Ya bu Korendon uçağı. Koca minibüs Korendon uçağını kaldırmış.
This is footage from one of the firemen that responded to the Asiana Airlines Flight 214 that crashed in San Francisco. This airport in Switzerland goes across an active road, so planes sometimes have to cross it. This is how the fire suppression system in an airport hangar looks. This helicopter pilot doing a quick drop-off. This Spanish F-18 flying next to a 767 to assess its damage over Madrid. This is how flying above another plane looks. This man ran across the ramp in Atlanta and got all the way to a plane before being arrested.
Yeah, 192. Flight attendants informed us that there is somebody who opened an overwing exit and is on the wing, getting ready to jump off.
Where? I don't see one. Oh, here they come. I wonder what happened.
This C-130 doing a low flyby and dropping flares.
Word je ook gek?
This Black Hawk intercepting a Cessna that violated prohibited airspace as part of an exercise.
Yeah, you can continue eastbound for now, and we'll follow you and escort you out. Yeah, Charlie Papa, good job, thanks guys. We're heading back to our orbit.
This 737 had landing gear problems and landed so hard that the tail struck the runway. This happened at an airport in Russia and no one was injured except the plane.
Смотрите нас в новостях, нахуй. Блядь. Охуй.
This plane taking off from a small dirt runway in a rainforest. The V-22 Osprey crashed during a test flight back in 1991, but no one was injured. This is how it looked. This is how it looks behind the scenes of an air-to-air photo shoot. This helicopter pilot flying really low through a rainforest. This Harrier jet showing off its vertical landing abilities on an aircraft carrier. This is what flying really close to the ground looks like from the cockpit of an F-16. This flying boat is a mixture of a boat and an ultralight, and this is how it looks in action. This C-130 creating vortices behind its propellers. This propeller synced up perfectly with the frame rate of the camera, making it look like the propeller isn't moving. This F5 taking off just a few feet overhead. This guy flew his plane through the Eiffel Tower back in 1984, and this is how it looked from the cockpit. This guy almost crashed into the water during an air race. This guy took off with his glider by simply running downhill.
Shit.
This helicopter delivering a race car with style at the Texas Motor Speedway. This C-130 dropping cargo over Afghanistan. This A380 almost had to go around while landing in a crosswind.
Oh, no. Has he got it? He's going to go around. Is he going to go around? Oh my God, look at it. Wow.
This helicopter rolled over at sea due to strong winds. This helicopter pilot flying really close to the ground. This V-22 helicopter creating huge vortices while taking off. This is how an airport looks after a tornado. This F-18 pulled up almost vertically just above a crowd of people. This auto repair shop caught on fire and someone filmed it from a plane while flying above it. This is what a spin maneuver looks like from another plane, and it's basically falling out of the sky but with control. This helicopter pilot picking up trees. This fighter jet doing a low pass. This is what taking pictures of planes flying mid-air looks like from behind the scenes. This V-22 Osprey is a plane and a helicopter at the same time, and this is how it looks when it's being used as a helicopter. Czech Republic Air Force helicopters firing 128 rockets. This is the Blue Angels flying really close to each other in a formation. This guy tried to do a loop with his helicopter, but it didn't really work out. Luckily, he wasn't injured and could walk away just fine. This is the Japanese military practicing helicopter maneuvers. This plane was using reverse thrust on a wet runway, creating a cool effect. Su-30, showing off its maneuvers. This is the cockpit view when landing at St. Barth's Airport, one of the most challenging airports to land at in the world. This supply helicopter taking off with a spin in the French Alps. The Swedish Air Force C-130 landing on a regular road and then turning around and taking off again. This plane was taking off from a beach in New Zealand, but it went too close to the water and ended up crashing. This plane was just about to take off when a pigeon started flying around the cabin, causing the plane to get delayed. This is how flying 1,000 feet below another plane looks. This guy had to make an emergency landing with his paramotor after his engine stopped working. This helicopter looks like it's floating mid-air due to the camera being synchronized with the rotor speed. This Cessna had to make an emergency landing without its front gear. This plane landed on a flooded beach, causing water to spray into the propellers. The 727 landing at St. Martin came in too low and was just a few feet above the fence. This helicopter flying low right over a highway. This plane landed on a muddy field, causing the landing gear to get stuck in the ground. This German helicopter landing on a street in a residential area. This plane managed to land on a small strip of beach surrounded by water. This futuristic airplane concept with huge panoramic windows. This blimp doing a very steep takeoff. This pilot practicing spins.
This feels great.
This Japanese helicopter landing on a small pier. This car following a U-2 spy plane landing at an Air Force base.
5, 4, 3, there's 3, that's 2 right there, 2, 1.5, 1. Welcome home, gentlemen. Thanks a lot.
These grounded planes parked next to each other at Hong Kong Airport. This plane ran out of fuel and had to land on a small island and then take off again. This plane crashed during an air show, but the pilot managed to climb out without any serious injuries. This airport got hit by a sandstorm. This Russian bomber showing off his afterburners. This helicopter delivering medical supplies to a cruise ship in the middle of the ocean. This 737 landed so hard its landing gear collapsed, causing the plane to skid down the runway. This is what firing missiles looks like from the cockpit. This helicopter crashed while trying to take off, but luckily no one was seriously injured.
Tabata, come dan, Britta?
This plane's jet blast caused the hangar to flip over, but luckily no one was injured.
I got that! I got it on camera! Oh shit! Oh fuck! Oh shit!
This plane flying sideways. These paratroopers jumping out of planes together as part of an exercise. This plane in Russia couldn't move because it was too cold, so the passengers got out and pushed it back manually. This A-10 shooting flares. These passenger planes flying really close to each other. These guys in Ukraine built their own helicopter and it actually worked. This is how aerial refueling looks from the cockpit. These C-130s flying in formation while shooting flares. This helicopter took off from a road and accidentally hit a power line. This plane doing an engine run accidentally tore down a brick wall and a palm tree behind it. This helicopter doing challenging maneuvers while filming a movie scene for Fast and Furious 8. This plane had to make an emergency landing without one of its wheels, causing it to run off the runway, but luckily no one was injured.
Oh, look at the sparks. It's down, they're down.
This is the Blue Angels flying their F-18s in formation while doing a barrel roll. This helicopter hit a lamppost while taking off from a parking lot. This fighter jet doing a slow flyby. These grounded A330s had to be parked on a runway because the airport didn't have any more parking space. These guys pushing back a plane manually. This plane had to land in a field after the engine failed, but luckily the pilot managed to land and no one was injured.
Don't worry. Alright, we got tall grass here. We got it. Alright.
We're down to safety.
Okay, Scott.
Thank you.
This helicopter trying to put out a huge fire in a parking lot outside of an airport. This plane casually driving on a road. This is how sinking an A330 into the ocean looks. This was done to create an artificial reef.
Vay vay vay.
This bag almost fell out of the plane when the latch opened during flight. Luckily, the plane made it back without the bag falling out. This plane had just made an emergency landing when the parking brake failed and the plane started to roll backwards.
Si elle termine la piste, c'est fini. Quelle bêtise le commandant a fait comme ça? Attention, aïe, écoute piste, okota mabele, écoute mabele. Eh ben, nous y voilà. Serveur en train de tomber. T'as le bouson pour commander ça? T'as le bouson pour commander ça?
The 747 had to land without some of its landing gear due to a landing gear failure. This dog enjoying a flight. These people in Ecuador blocking a runway in order to stop planes from landing. This Saudi royal plane getting escorted by fighter jets. This paramotor had an engine failure, but luckily, even after a hard landing, no one was injured. This Blue Angels F-18 doing a low pass. This is how scrapping a 747 looks. This plane taking off just a few feet overhead. This dog enjoying a helicopter flight. This 747 being pushed back manually. This fighter jet retracted its gear while it was still on the ground, taking off, causing it to slide down the runway. The pilot had to eject and land with a parachute. A paramotor above water when the engine failed, forcing him to land in the water. Luckily, he was rescued within minutes and wasn't injured. This plane was taking off when it overran the runway due to mechanical failure, but luckily no one was injured. These planes being flown into retirement information. This plane taxiing on a flooded taxiway. This guy set the world record for the fastest body-controlled jet suit, flying at 32 miles an hour. This very detailed A350 model. This crane collapsed while carrying a newly restored plane. Luckily, the plane could still be recovered and was later restored again. This excavator lifting a plane. This helicopter dropping water with precision. This is how shooting an action movie scene from a helicopter looks. This helicopter crashed as the tail broke off while landing in Russia, but luckily everyone survived.
Ебать! Пиздец, развалился нахуй! Ебать! Пиздец!
This helicopter flying right above a 747. The C-130 landing in a desert, causing sand to get sprayed into the propellers. These South African Airways planes flew really close to each other in formation to inaugurate the president. This private jet doing a flyby just a few feet overhead.
Ya viene volando el malparido. ¡No joda! ¡Maldito loco, weón!
This sailboat collided with an aircraft carrier. This landing gear being lifted up by the wind due to a storm. This Russian airliner had a problem with its flight controls, causing the plane to fly around recklessly before safely landing at a military airfield. This plane doing a low flyby. This plane looks like it's hovering mid-air. This helicopter shooting flares. This plane skimming the water with its landing gear.
Cara, ele encostou na água, velho!
This plane using water to slow itself down before landing. This fighter jet pilot was flying between buildings as part of an air show in Australia. This guy almost had a mid-air collision with a Cessna. I was doing a low flyby. This guy got blasted by a jet while sitting behind it on an aircraft carrier. This Royal Air Force plane had its nose gear collapse while landing during an air show.
Touchdown now.
Oh dear.
Well, as you can see, ladies and gentlemen, there was a small problem there with the undercarriage of T-222. Looks like the fire has gone out.
This guy did a low pass over a beach in a sailplane.
Crazy.
This is how an F-16 with full afterburner looks. The C5 Galaxy wheel caught on fire as the brakes got overheated. This guy flew over the Giza pyramids with his paramotor.
Look at that, how amazing.
This is how you start a Boeing 737 engine manually. This F-16 was coming in for a landing just a few feet above the crowd. This F-18 took off almost vertically at the last second, causing sand to fly everywhere. This helicopter was being towed, but the tow got disconnected, so the helicopter started rolling backwards on its own. And that's it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll link all the videos I featured down below, where you can also find the original clips as usual. I just want to say thank you guys for supporting this series. It's been a year of weekly episodes now, and you guys really seem to enjoy it, which I'm glad you do. If you want to watch every episode from the start, I have a playlist which I can link down below, which goes all the way from episode 1. But that's gonna be it for this video. Subscribe so you don't